homem de tradição. A vaqueirama canta boi e nas corridas de Morão. Alô, tchá! Nas corridas de Morão. O céu azul brilha a estrela, a lua e a imensidão. Ei, o céu azul brilha a estrela, a lua e a imensidão. E essa brincadeira, ei, menino, roda minha. Menino roda peão, e na palma da caro, o cabia atrás da casa, mora, ele é maior, ele é maior, camarada, a natureza, camarada, meu Deus, viva Deus, salve a lua na vida, salve a lua, a capoeira, a capoeira, viva Natal, viva Natal, viva todos nós, viva todos nós, camaradas. Camaradinha, camarada, do meu sertão. Do meu sertão. Eu passei, né? A beleza mais pura. A poesia é só dela. Olha, manda a garota toda. Essa garota vermelha, branca e amarela. Da garota toda. Roda vermelha, branca e amarela. Da garota toda. Roda vermelha, branca e amarela. Da garota toda. Ela tá de noite, a poesia é só dela. Da garota toda. Poesia da garota coberta, amarrada, vermelha, branca e amarela. Da garota coberta, e a força do meu sertão. A força do meu sertão. Eu passei nela, e da beleza cobertura. Passarada voando bem alto, falhando a alma pelo chão. Carneiro tão forte, tão bravo, enfim meu povo eu lhe sei fumar. Ele levou a luta fogo pra, pois ele brota, mas ela fogo, bora, bora, bora,
Corona. Good. Fui. Check. Corona. Fui.
meu sertão são tão bonitas, tão cheirosas. Só da palmeira, mas inveja qualquer onda.
What's up? Who's here first? Who's the one person in here? Of course. Careta, sapinho. Can you guys hear me okay? How are the volume levels? I'm going to give it a couple minutes and dive into the album. Careta and Sapinho. Have you guys seen one yet? You know these guys? Pitoco, Formiga, Vavá. Formiga, Morena. Gosh, it's been like days just talking about these guys. Got my notes ready. Ready to do the back half. We're back. One second. I don't know who the other person is in the stream. We got 2 people. So it might be both you guys. And Careta, you and Safio coming for the event? Both of you? You both come. And then, yeah, thinking about format for what this might be. Ooh. Nice. Catarina Mola. Yeah. Yeah. What I kind of learned from the last one is that this sort of ended up being like people preferred more to just sort of listen, which I think is cool. Really cool. I really like the back and forth engagement, but I think people really appreciated just sort of me talking. So maybe this turns into a podcast type thing, but I appreciate you for big time. So scary for me. All right. Turn these guys off. Right. Sorry, Pito. Sorry, Formiga. We're gonna go share screen. Let's go to CD Mestre Ananias. Let's start this. Let's go back to where we were. Okay, so I believe we left off with this one, Kahuaji Angola, and we did that one. If I overlap a little bit from last stream, well, whatever. It's my stream. I'm gonna do that. If you guys have any questions or stuff, I know you guys are all driving, so put stuff in as you're able. Drive safely. Shoot me messages later. It was really great. I got a bunch of messages after the stream, like not immediately after. So I was like, what did people think? But it was like they trickled in quite a bit after, and it was pretty cool. So I think we have something here. Minimal marketing for the stream, just kind of letting friends and colleagues know I was doing it. But it seemed to sort of resonate. So, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. And just reflecting on just the amount of time I've listened to this album. So I'm going to start off by saying for the back half, front half and back half, but definitely the back half, really fun to compare and contrast to the Mestre Ananias live album that came out in 2017. And you can really hear the time change between the original first album release and then the second one, and the evolution of the bateria and the evolution of the sound. And there's a lot of things you can hear in different ways that Mestre Ananias sings. And there's other people that sing on the album as well. And how you can have the same song sung different ways with different energies. And this has just resonated so much with me in my capoeira music journey that you can sing it your way and it can be cool. And when you understand, the history and where it started, you can begin to play with it. Like, you shouldn't play with it too soon. Like first year in capoeira, you don't want to start, I heard the song and I think I'm going to start sing it this way. Like, you need years to understand these things and study behind it. But once you hit that point, it can be really fun. And it's what all the masters before us have done. And you want to make it your own while still staying true to, like, I guess the core of the song. So if you're non-Brazilian, first you have to understand the words, what they're saying, then you have to understand the context, and then you have to understand like the specific context to that person writing that song or saying that song at that time. And it doesn't have to be super crazy, but you definitely need to give it like an honest shot with that. And then when you have done that and you've spent a bunch of years, then you can kind of start to play with it. And then you make it your own. You're like, okay, well, I understand like the history of this and understand the context, so I can start to change it. And like the video that I was playing before with Formiga, Pitoco, Vavá, those guys all do that too, and it's awesome. Like, they've given a lot of new breath to older songs with new sort of musical arrangements. Like, they're really like that crowd is really they have a lot of videos out with like one berimbau, one pandeiro, and one triangle, and it's awesome. It's so cool. And the triangle and the bateria is so much fun. Mestre Ananias didn't use the triangle, but I've seen videos where they've played the plate. We're kind of scraping the plate like around the corner of the plate, and almost like a haku. And there's a lot of things like percussion is cool like that. Everything can become a percussion instrument. And when you understand sort of like the fundamentals, you can build on that. And it gets really, really fun. So I believe we left off with this song, the Carruagem Angola. Um, uh, Papai já mandou foi me chamar. Papai já mandou foi me chamar. Carruagem Angola. Vamos embora, vamos embora. Carruagem Angola. And fun song, really, really fun song. So I don't think we went into Inácio and Madame. If we did, I'm just going to do it again. Inácio. Oh, Inácio, Inácio. Mulher parida não come. Oh, Inácio, Inácio. So I first heard the song with Mestre Ananias, and then I heard it with Mestre Ananias, and it was really cool. I heard a story about Mestre Ananias wanting to bring Mestre Ananias because apparently they knew each other. I don't know this firsthand, but he tried to bring Mestre Ananias for an event, and Mestre Ananias is super particular. He said, "I'll only go if my bateria goes." And I think this is something really cool to think about when we get into this back half. Like, Mestre Ananias was not just about him singing, it was about the band. And Mestre Ananias' music really, I'm not going to say only works, but it works when he has his band, when people understand his approach to musicality. And I think that's so great because it's so intentional. And I don't think it has to be only that. But this idea of playing together. My friend Messi Lobinho, the past couple events where wanted to do some music things, he's like, oh, I need to play together with the other people that we're doing this project with. Like when we recorded the album, he's like, I need to play with them first, so I can at least understand, how they do the things, and you develop a conversation, and that's really what it gets to. And I think that's why Mestre Ananias was so obsessed with this, is that you could have different things going on, but you needed to understand the conversation that was happening. And he just developed this with his students on such a deep level. He wasn't going to go to this event with Mestre Accordion unless like he brought his whole bateria, like his whole band with him. And that makes a lot of sense because bands don't travel without the band. Like, we're organizing an event here in May, or Bodon's doing most of the organization, but the band is coming. It's not like, well, we're going to bring the lead singer and I guess maybe the drummer. Like, no, it's like, this is the band. And if you want the band, you have to bring the band. And this is such a great thing. And in Capoeira, I think more of this could be really helpful to our art, where we develop a relationship with the people that we play most regularly with, and we develop this idea of communication and stepping forward, stepping back. And then when we go and we play capoeira music outside of our band, we can still do that. But if more people are doing that with this idea, when we go and engage with another band, then the other band will more likely be open to this conversation idea. And I think that's just so cool. And the music that comes out of it is just so much better. And then when we have better music, we have a better halda. I talk about this quite a bit these days, of where I've been to a bunch of haldas, so many haldas where the musicians have been world class, the players have been world class, but the bateria wasn't on point. They weren't playing together. A lot of like, I need to sing, no, I need to sing, or I need to do the variation, no, I need to do the variation. And then the halda doesn't feel good, and like everyone's cutting the songs, and like everyone's yelling, and it like you see people get hurt in these haldas, and the halda isn't that good. And then you see these haldas where the bateria maybe doesn't have as many technical players, but everybody's on the same page and it's cooperative in the bateria to create this experience. I've never seen anyone get hurt at a halda ever when the bateria has been good. When the music's good, no one gets hurt. And I've seen crazy haldas with super fast mealuas and really intense games. Uh, but I never see anyone get hurt, like injured. People get kicked, but no one gets like hurt. And I think there's a lot to that. So when there's harmony in the bateria, there's going to be harmony in the halda. That's sort of the whole thing around this, right? Like you create this vibe, and it's just for a better experience, better halda experience. So yeah, so the song Inácio. Oh, Inácio, Inácio, mulher parida não come. The birthing woman doesn't eat. I don't know. Another question, right? Like a goal for this stream is to leave you guys with more questions. Hopefully, I can learn some stuff. I I still don't know what that means. Um, I had some questions come up with from Careta, where from a line from some unrelated ladainhas and stuff. Still trying to find the answer. Sent the message out to Brazil and back, to a couple places in Brazil and back, Bahia, São Paulo, and some of the most famous musicians out there, and researchers and PhD people, and they don't know what it means. So, like, we can try to think what this means, but I have no idea, to be honest. But this is a really famous old song in the public domain. Oh, Inácio, Inácio, mulher parida não come. I don't know. If you guys have an idea, please send it to me. I'd love to know. The next song here, so I'll play this a little bit here.
Buenas, mulher parida não come. E mulher parida não come. É farinha do mesmo dia. Eu fico bem, mas é memória. E mulher parida não come. E mulher parida não come. E farinha do mesmo dia.
So what I can tell you is that Mestre Ananias is doing such a great job of using these basic lines here to vary intensity and hardness and softness with how he's singing, and it's just creating this vibe. Oh, Inácio, Inácio. And that's really easy for the chorus to sing, and the chorus is doing such an amazing job. Oh, Inácio, Inácio. And then he's just varying. Mulher parida, now call me. You can put a pause. You can now call me. Now call me. Mulher parida, now call me. Mulher parida não come, and just doing variations like that, and it creates just this cool vibe in the Honda. That's how I see it. All right, Madami, and so this one here. So as far as I know, this is in reference to Madame Satan, Madame Satan, um, huge figure in capoeira history, but only when you start digging down. You don't have to dig far to hear about Satan, Madame Satan, um, but super important figure. Uh, was a cross-dresser, transvestite in capoeira in the time of the malandro, um, sort of turn of the century time, and which is crazy because LGBTQ type stuff persecuted pretty heavily in Brazil. And then going back to the time of Madame Satan, like I can't even imagine um, what that was like. But amazingly tough capoeirista, super tough, super respected. Nobody ever messed with Madame Satan, and anything that's ever referenced to him slash her is always with this high level. There's never any trash talking ever. It's kind of odd because Brazilian culture really, for a long time, really very against sort of anything gay, and yeah, I think that just speaks a lot for this person, this character, um, and so something when I was listening to this CD again, preparing for the podcast, uh, Mestre Ananias uses the feminine when he's saying "eu sou," and I close my eyes, put the headphones on, and I'm 99.99% positive it's the feminine with the adjective of ligeiro. He says ligeira. Uh, Madame é madame, eu também sou ligeira, madame. I'm fast. I'm also fast. Is what he's saying. But he's saying like eu sou ligeira, meaning like I am fast, but referring to himself in the feminine. I don't know. I'm just speculating on this, and I think it's just a huge reference to Madame Satan, and like I'm totally like waxing poetic here. And if anybody would like to correct me on this, I would love to know more about this song because this isn't like a really often sung song in Haldas. I love to sing it. I've heard it a couple of times. I think it's great at Haldas. I think it works really well at any Halda. A lot of people know this song. When I first sang it, I would sing, Madame, yeah, Madame, eu também sou ligeiro, with an O, ligeiro, Madame, Madame, yeah, Madame, eu também sou ligeiro, Madame. That's how I sang it until just the last week when I did the first stream, and then I was really listening with headphones. Like I think he said ligeira. So listen to it with the headphones. Let me know what you think. Ligeiro, ligeira. But I think he's saying ligeira. And he might have changed different haldas. Mestre Ananias did this a lot, but on the recording, who knows? I think it's ligeira, which I think is extra cool. Madame, é, madame, eu também sou ligeira, madame. Madame, é, madame, eu também sou ligeira, madame. So for me, this song was just a rabbit hole of learning about more about the malandro and that time period and what the realities actually were. And this happens a lot with capoeira tracks for me. Started with a CD and then on with others. Like, oh, there's this name. Like, this name is a thing in this song. Like, they wrote a song, and like, why is this song on here? This is definitely intentional. This isn't random. So where did this come from? I don't know this, and I'm gonna get really curious and try to dive in, and this was part of that. So this album for me has just been a tool for learning, like just tons of learning and kind of building the skill of learning about capoeira music, if that makes sense. So, all right, let's go to the next one, and it's gonna be a ladainha. We'll play this a little bit. You guys know you hear these yet before we move on to the next one. Oh, it's definitely ligeira. Definitely ligeira. Man, just how he varies his voice on that. Like the beginning, he almost like it sounds like he almost forgot to come in, and then he comes in like super strong, and then he like goes really high and my dummy, like it's so awesome. It just like flows, so cool. So the next one, he starts with La Dainha, the track Brasil Diz Que Tem or Diz Que Sim. And this is a ladainha that's sung by a bunch of different people. I first heard it with Mestre Canjiquinha on the Canjiquinha Valdemar album, which was also pretty life changing for me, and would love to do a deep dive into that. My gosh, that would be actually pretty insane. So much on there. But this ladainha, um, this you can hear this ladainha sung by a lot of the same people that were hanging out with each other, like we talked about the last stream. Traíra, Canjiquinha. Sorry, my dog is like growling at nothing. Jasmine, do you think you could get Dorothy to not growl?
Huh?
Could you get Dorothy to not growl? That'd be great. Sorry, dog is like growling. It's kind of distracting. So yeah, all these guys that we talked about last stream, they're all hanging out together, and this is a ladainha that you hear on some of their CDs that they recorded together, and it's slightly different with each person, and so yeah, let's listen to this one. So before you get into the lyrics, there's a cool thing that Mestre Ananias' bateria does, where the beat and bows, they create grooves like this. Dun 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 dun. And this is something that I really like about the ideas with the beat and bows. Instead of just playing like a random variation, you can play like a series of variations to create like a repetitive groove, and you're kind of creating this groove with repetition of the same variation, and or like changing it at the same time. And I think being intentional with variations can be really great, instead of just like randomly varying. And that's what I thought beat and bows were supposed to do. You just do random variations, and I've even had like, oh yeah, you just play what you want whenever you want, and that's okay. It's all right, but I think it's cool when you play like a groove. I'm gonna go back a little bit again. Yeah. And I think this is what Mestre Marcello did with his album is he took all these variations and then he made the variations intentional, and he made these intentional grooves with the variations, and he even has like his chorus, the variation within the variation. And I think he like really took this musical idea and really ran with it, and his album is pretty amazing. But I try to do this when I'm doing variations in the bateria. I try to create a groove with my variations instead of like, oh, I'm gonna do don't ding, you know. I'm like, okay, well, let's create a groove with that. Don don ding 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 don ding. Yeah, it's simple, right? But then you have more complex variations, and you're just trying to create like a repetitive groove. Like if you think in terms of bars, like okay, bar one is like this variation, then I go bar two back to the bass, next bar variation, and there's different things you can do with it. Again, just being intentional. So yeah, back to the ladainha.
O Brasil disse que tem, o Japão disse que não. Uma espada poderosa.
So Brasil diz que tem, um, Japão diz que não. So Brazil says yes, Japan no. So like this ladainha was written during World War II. Squadrão Poderoso, like the powerful squadron, and there's like some World War II references in this ladainha, which is really cool. Definitely writing about the times.
Vai ficar com os alemão.
Pra brigar com os alemão, like to fight with the Germans.
Cadê meu nome agora eu vou? No sorteio militar. Poderosa. Vai ficar com os alemão. Cadê meu nome agora eu vou?
My name, now I'm gonna go.
No sorteio militar.
No sorteio militar, like in the, like, and you can correct my Portuguese here, but basically putting their name in the hat to go fight in the war, like enlisting.
O meu Brasil já está na guerra. Meu dever é ir lutar.
And like I'm supposed to go fight. Meu dever é ir lutar. Like I'm supposed to go fight. Like this is my responsibility.
A marinha é de guerra, o exército é de campanha. O bombeiro apaga o fogo, o estrangeiro é quem apanha. Eva, meu Deus! Eva, meu Deus!
So just pretty cool, like ladainha about the times, World War II and enlisting to go fight, and really really interesting. And a bunch of different people sang this ladainha. It's definitely a famous one, and I highly recommend listening to the other people sing it. You can, first stop is Mestre Canjiquinha on the Canjiquinha Valdemar album, so check that out. Then go here, the next song. Põe daqui, bota ali. Ô Dalila, tira daqui, bota ali. Ô Dalila. A lot of different lines you can sing here. This one's really cool. I've heard some people talking about, like, depending on how fast you sing the song, sometimes you sing "Oh Dalila" or just "Dalila." Chiraraki botali dalila, bonagi dalila, chiraraki botali dalila, oyadaki botali odalila. And I love this song. This song is so much fun. How does you're just like, it gets that good chant going. And for me, this was another introduction to how you can sing the same song different ways, even the same singer, not even differences between groups or rodas or events, but even you as an individual, me as an individual, we can sing the same song different ways depending on the energy. We don't have to have one way that we sing a song. We can sing it slow. Chidadaki botali odalila. And we can sing it with like a different like vibe and groove. Listening to DJ singing on some of the protest videos recently. He's singing some songs with like this cool other different harmony, and it's so nice. And you're just like trying to find the vibe that is and that you want to create, so very much like a DJ, like here's the vibe that's happening now, and I want to take these people to this other place, or this vibe is good, I want to hang here, like these people took me to this place, let's stay here, let's stay, like I don't want to bring these people out of this place, so I want to try to support being in this state or this vibe, you know and going from there. Or, hey, I'm here to bring the energy, and these people are looking at me to bring the vibe. So what's missing? What do I need to bring here? Do I need to bring calmness? Do I need to bring excitement? And everything's different, right? So having these tools as somebody that's leading a halda, you can have a better halda because the more tools you have, the better you can do, right? So if everyone shows up at halda and they're tired, you can get everybody amped, right? If everybody shows up at halda and everybody's like too amped and the energy's crazy, you can calm everybody and make it feel better, because nobody wants frantic, right? So that's kind of what this song is for me in that way. Yeah, it's just kind of all about growing with the groove. Let's go to the next song. Let's listen to this. So Mestre Ananias has some really cool entradas for songs, like entrances, but then songs that we're used to hearing entradas for, he doesn't do an entrada. And it's really cool. Like this song, like a lot of times you hear like olho negro, olho negro, olho negro, meu senhor, olho negro, olho negro, olho negro, meu senhor, olho lá negro, olho negro, senhor, lá negro, olho negro, senhor. But he skips the intro and he goes right into the song. And I think that's cool. And I think musicality is like, it's like that, like you want to have patterns and then break patterns within a song and then within like a bigger context, right? So like our brains are expecting something. And he does this with another song, I think on this album. I can't remember if it's on the front half or back half. Let me go back to the notes here. Dun, dun, dun. I think we talked about it. Maybe it was at the very beginning of the album. Anyway, we can go back, think about that. But this one is really cool like that because there's no entrada. It just goes with like, oh, you negocia, all you negocia. All you negocia, all you negocia. So the vibe is more lyrical and not like theme based, where he's going like his groove here, And when you're in the chorus with Mestre Ananias, like you have to be on point and really focus. I was talking about this last stream. Something I want to do with Masape is like increase the intentionality of the chorus. This is always a part that's lacking at Haldas, is the chorus, and it's a really big challenge. Um, but when the chorus is on point and really focused, uh, it's really amazing. And you don't have to do anything crazy. Just audio negociam. But it's like really listening to the conductor, the lead singer, really listening to what's being called and being really intentional and coming in like just as much energy in the chorus as you're putting into your jinga and the mealua. And I think that's the thing, right? Like you see people go into the hall and they'll do ause mao and like they'll like fall, right? And they'll mess up and or someone will stop the kick or take them down and like everything's fine. And they get to the chorus right on the side of the halda and it's like 30% of the energy that they were just doing in the halda. And I'm not even talking about like singing a complicated song I'm just talking about like like it's flat with the harmony. You don't have to do much lyrically. You can do unison, you can do a third, you can do a fifth. You can not know what any of that means, and you can just have good energy, and you're just like, oh, you negocia, and the halt is going to be amazing. And so often you see someone go in and they'll like jinga, like till they're out of breath and fall down and look stupid or not, and they'll just come out of the halda and then like the chorus energy is like 30%. It's like, oh man, like you totally understand why Mestre Valdemar had a separate bateria and separate players, and you didn't mix. Like you were on pandero, you played pandero for that halda, you played medio for that halda, you played viola for that halda, or you played the game inside the halda, and you can kind of see that. I don't think I want to have my haldas that way, but I can see why that was like a thing for sure. And so I feel like that's what this song really shows for me. So I have a little note for the time signature of 39:17. We're at 38:35. And he goes like soft. He goes from like hard to soft. We talked about that a little bit already. Are you negociando? Are you negociando? So if you get a chance, go back and listen to, this is why like every time I listen to this, I hear something different. You can listen to this track and hear those beat and bow grooves with the different beat and bows. And the gunga is doing its own groove and the medio is really listening to the gunga. And they're both doing complementary grooves, but they're both doing repeating variations to create a groove. And it's not random. It's improvised, but it's not random, if that makes sense. And I think that's really the key, like improvise, but not random. All right, let's skip ahead here. Oh yeah. So this is the other song, Kevin La. So Kevin La, like he goes in here like I first learned this. Kevin La sou eu, Kevin La sou eu, birimbau bateu, capoeira sou eu. And I hear this, and it's so different, and I love it. So yeah, it doesn't do any of the other extended stuff, and I really like this. And there's another Angola recording out there, and I don't remember the title or name. Something else, if you want to message me, I can find it for you. And they do Kevin La in a similar way, but their own way, but without the Kevin La, so Kevin La. Like it's not that. And I think it's so much better this way. I just like it more. Um, the more popular way is cool, but this way, I don't know. It just hits different, and I really enjoy it. So yeah, even La makes you think. All right, so this one here, Tava em Casa. So I knew this one more from Esse Traíra and his CD, but this one is really popular. You can find it on Messi Cordion CDs, Messi Suasuna CDs. Um, I have another name on here that I can't make out my own handwriting. It's on a bunch. Um, DJ Capoeira recently, like a few years ago, he did a corrido with the song Tava lá em casa sem pensar, sem imaginar. Quando eu fui bater na porta, ela me mandou chamar. Tava lá em casa sem pensar, sem imaginar. Um, but yeah, I highly recommend after listening to this one, listening to the Traíra one. The Traíra version is really cool, and it's really distinct and really distinct. Mese Traíra, and that could be a whole deep dive on that album. Holy cow!
Yeah.
Oh, interesting that he starts this with the whistle. It's the only time I think you hear the whistle on this CD, and you hear the whistle on Nase Taida's CD for most of the tracks, and really cool. Listen again.
Yeah.
And that whistle, oh my gosh. I've been asked this a bunch of times on the music literacy chat. Like, why is there a whistle? So the whistle was used, it comes from samba, and it's a way to signal starting and stopping. And Mestre Valdemar would use it a lot at his Halda, quite a bit. And other people would use it too. And it was a way to signal in the bateria, like a change, a start, a stop. And I think it's really interesting that it's used just once on this album, and it's used with a Latinha that's uh, related very much with Mestre Traíra. Um, and Mestre Caissada. Oh, that's the other one. Caissada. Mestre Traíra, Mestre Caissada. So actually, Mestre Caissada was the first time I heard this, not Mestre Traíra. Traíra I heard after Caissada. Um, but Mestre Caissada's album is really interesting to listen to. Really. Mestre Traíra, of course. Mestre Caissada. Um, and really cool. So the Caissada album has a ton of the whistles. A lot of the tracks start and stop. I think way more than the Traída. I actually have to go back and listen if it's on the Traída album, but definitely on the Caissada album. But yeah, let's listen to this. Ooh, let me pause here. Got some questions. Have you ever done a more flattened version of a song with the more melodic? I'm not sure what you mean by the question. I've definitely flattened a ton of versions. In fact, that's an album that I'd like to record. Is the what I call the Cantapor Baixo. Like at the same time, ooh, like combining like someone doing the melody up and down, and then someone doing the flat. Um, is that what you mean? I haven't, and that sounds really cool. I have done melodies before that isn't Cantabor Baishu, but you're singing and like you have the melody and then you have like a harmony, like the third above, but then you can do like a fourth part where you sing flat but like high above to harmonize, which is different than like what I normally do with like the Cantabor Baishu type idea thing. But that would be really cool to try that. We should try that. We should get together and do that and sing one of those songs like that go up and down and try to do that and see what comes out. I think that'd be really really fun for sure. Let's do that. But I haven't tried it before. Um, yeah, and then careta, the whistle. Yes. Did you know about the whistle already? I don't know if this is something you and I had talked about, but yeah, the whistle. Ah, okay, cool. Yeah, it comes up a lot. It came up for me. I was like, I heard it on the CDs the first time I listened to it. I was like, oh, that's just there. And then like a couple years into capoeira, and you're like, I don't hear the whistle. Then you go back and you hear it again. You're like, yeah, right. It's really weird that it comes in late on this album. And I think like this is just totally me speculating, guessing. I think it's just like a tribute to Mestre Caissara, Mestre Taira, and that with this particular La Dainha because it's so much associated with them. That's a guess, an educated guess, but it's a guess. So yeah. All right. So let's listen to La Dainha here. Even mentions Caissara, right? Caissara does in the La Dainha English. Minha mãe tinha certeza, ela era uma sossegada, saía a boca da noite, chegava de madrugada, na roça da capoeira, eu nunca tenho meu corpo errado, viva meu Deus. So, aside from like the historical context with this La Dainha, I really like the idea of what DJ did, and Mestre Valdemar did this a lot. Is taking lines from their La Dainhas and turning them into cohidos, or turning them into the variations for cohidos. Like Valdemar does that with Paranauê. Um, yeah, right, exactly. Para dar depoimento que eu não sabia. Yeah, um, definitely in a bunch of La Dainhas. And these guys would all share lines and reference back to other La Dainhas and use them as filler and things all the time. And it would kind of like recycle lines. You think back in these times of like the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, the songs were limited. And a levada was somebody's levada that they would do for years and decades. That was their groove. They didn't have bombardment of a whole world of people releasing capoeira music, and so to give variation they would recycle the lines that they had. So if you listen to Mestre Valdemar, Corta Braço, 1955, he sings he sings Paranauê, and then he sings lines from Torpedeira Encoraçado, which has this para dar depoimento daquilo que não sabia, from Torpedeira Encoraçado. He sings lines from that in the variations for Paranauê, and it's so cool. And he does other stuff too, but it's something that you can do, and something that we can do is we can sing Paranauê, Paranauê, Paraná, para dar depoimento, Paraná, daquilo que não sabia, Paraná, Paranauê, Paranauê, Paraná. and you can take a ladainha that you like and take lines and fit that in, and it's a pretty cool thing. Let's skip ahead a little bit here. Little song. And then the Minha Comadre, I think it's like it musically follows the cave in La from before, with going up and going down and going up and going down. Minha Comadre, Minha Comadre, Minha Comadre, Minha Comadre. And this is something I think I talked about in the first stream, that you hear on Mestre Joel's first CD. Mestre Joel was one of the co-founders of the Roda da Praça da República with Mestre Ananias. And this chorus style was really specific to him, of one line goes up, line goes down. And that sort of comes from the Mestre Bimba side too, because Mestre Bimba would do that as well. And my friend Professora Borboleta, when she sings at Rodas, her default is up and down, at least when I've been around her, for the chorus. She might correct me, but last time I was around her, which was a while ago, I noticed that was her default, and it's a style. And it's funny because Mestre Joel, his second album, he doesn't do that, and it's kind of cool to see evolution of albums from the same person. But I think this style of the chorus goes up and it goes down, definitely worth listening to on Mestre Joel's first album. So if you haven't listened to it, pull it up and listen to it, and listen to his structure. And it's like, okay, this is what we're doing at Mestre Joel's Roda. This is how we respond at his Roda, and it's different from other people's, and it's different, and it works, and it's good. And it's because everyone's kind of clued in, and no one's like, oh, that's not how we sing that song. Like, no, okay, well, this is how we're singing it today, and I think that's really cool. Minha comadre, minha comadre, falo de mim. Minha comadre. So this song, the words itself, it's not the type of song that I normally like to sing. This is a topic I've thought about discussing, like kind of like someone going behind your back, kind of like cheating, sabotaging. That these types of things are themes in capoeira songs. It exists, and there are people that really focus on them. I don't like to focus on them. It's not really my worldview, but it's definitely part of Brazilian capoeira culture, and comes in the music. So this, for me, is an example of knowing what the song's about and why I wouldn't sing this one out of Roda, because it doesn't fit with my particular worldview. So I'm not going to sing the song. It's a great song. It's cool. It sounds good. And maybe there's a place for me to sing it. But yeah, probably not one that I would sing at Roda. But very cool. All right, then the next one. I'm glad Catarina is here, and Mola, because I sang this for them once. Mulher vem cá. And the first time I heard this, and then sometimes when I sing it, when people only know like a little bit of Portuguese, they think it's a sexualized song of like a guy calling to a woman to come over, and that's what the words are. Mulher vem cá, like woman come here. But it's not at all. It's totally not. It's when you know the song, it's pretty awesome. Mulher vem cá e conselha seu marido, and like give advice, like advise your husband. Like mulher vem cá e conselha seu marido. Mulher vem cá. And this song is like, he just said what kind of song. Ele é de faca, eu sou de facão. And it's really poetic. It's like this poetic challenge, and it kind of goes to the canta martelo, like the desafio type samba music, where you're giving like a challenge or challenging the other person. So the line is mulher vem cá, woman come here, e conselhe a seu marido, and give advice to your husband. Ele é de faca, eu sou de facão. He's like, he has a knife, but I've got a machete. So he uses the word and then the big version of the word. Ele é de reza, eu sou de oração. He does a prayer, but I do the oration, and it's just so cool. Mulher vem cá e conselhe a seu marido. Mulher vem cá e conselhe a seu marido. Mulher vem cá. Ele é de faca, eu sou de facão. Mulher vem cá. Ele é bom de reza, eu sou na oração. Mulher vem cá. And so I sang this for Catarina once, talking about Mola, because Mola, like, sort of like a challenge to Mola. And like, he's good with a knife, but I'm good with the machete, right? And it was in fun, and these challenges can be fun. You remember that? Yes. And I have no idea if you knew what I was singing at the time, but that's cool. You remember the song. Do you remember? Did you know at the time what I was singing? That'd be cool to know if you knew or didn't know. And this is where you could just, oh yeah, okay, got you. I remember that, yeah. And you can just create these moments with these songs. And so this is an example of, like, you have to know what the words are, right? Because it could go totally wrong, right? This could be interpreted too intensely or wrongly, or it could offend somebody. So you have to understand, like, what you're singing, and you have to understand what the words of the song are, and then you can play with it. Like, you have to know the rules first, and then you absolutely can smash the rules. But you can't smash the rules until you really understand. And like, there's no definitive line like, okay, now I fully understand, so I can break it. Like it's trial and error, of course, and I think intention comes into it more than anything else. Like, if you're, like, with good intentions trying to understand this, like, you're going to grow and you're going to learn, and maybe you do it in the wrong way first, and that's okay. It's totally okay. It's totally okay to make the mistakes. But I think the important thing is, like, okay, I'm generally trying to understand what this song is before I sing it at a roda, and I know what it's about as much as I can, and I'm going to learn more, of course, right? That's part of the journey. But songs like this can be really, really fun, and they can add a whole lot to a roda because you're commenting on what's going on and you're interacting with the games back and forth, and it's three-dimensional instead of just one-dimensional of me singing a song because I like the song. It's like, oh, I had a groove going. Maybe the groove's even good. I'm singing the songs that I like. Oh, but now this interesting thing's happening in the roda, and I want to sing about it. And it doesn't have to just be this, right? This is just an example from the album. And so practicing these songs after the album gives you the tools. And every roda, you're not going to be able to pull it out, but you have that tool in your back pocket. So when that time, when the opportunity is there and the moment is there, you can have that moment, help create that moment. And it just creates, like, a fun thing that goes away and doesn't exist anymore, except in our memories. But pretty fun. So that's Mulher Vem Cá for me. Let's go on to the next one. Getting close to the end of the album here.
Yeah.
Mulher vem cá.
Na faca, eu sou no facão.
Mulher vem cá.
Na reza, na oração. Mulher vem cá. Eu conselho ao seu marido. Mulher vem cá. Eu conselho ao seu marido no balcão. Mulher vem cá.
É bom na reza ou na oração. All right.
Mamãe, olha o samba, samba ali, ó. Quando eu vinha de Portugal, eu sou mongolês. Quero vadia, eu sou de Angola.
Quero vagiar.
Sou de Angola.
So this song is really interesting on the album because this is one of the only times that you hear the chorus falter, like the whole chorus. And I think he improvised adding this song. I think he practiced the album with everybody, and everybody sort of knew what he was singing. And I think he improvised this one because it didn't. This is the one song where the chorus doesn't come in really, really on point, but you can kind of hear the scrambling where they're trying to get the chorus and jump in there and sing. And I think the vibe is really cool where he goes from mulher vem a cada quero vagiar, quero vagiar, quero vagiar. And it's like this sort of almost like chill vibe, but the scramble is there in the voices of the chorus. So you can kind of hear it. I'm going to back up here.
Papai, mamãe, papai, mamãe, olha o samba, samba ali, ó. Quando eu vinha de Portugal, eu sou mongolês. Quero vadia, eu sou de Angola. Sou de Angola. Eu sou angolês. Eu sou de Angola. Sou de Angola.
Now it gets stronger, right?
Sou de Angola. Eu sou mongolês. Eu sou de Angola. Eu sou mongolês. Sou de Angola. Eu sou de Angola.
And then the call is just so dynamic, really, really dynamic. Such a basic chorus, but the call is so dynamic. Like, so Giangola. Like, he gets like breathy and then like strong and then soft and then holds, sustains, and then cuts it short. It's just so dynamic. And there's no pressure in this track. It goes on for a while, but there's no pressure and to change the song or change the groove or anything. It just lets everybody sort of settle in. And it starts, I don't even want to say like it starts rocky, but like they just don't know they weren't ready for this chorus or this song for whatever reason. That's okay. Like, even though like Ananias was such a perfectionist and it's an album, like he gives space for them to catch up, and then he just rolls with the groove, and the groove just keeps going and keeps going. And I could imagine like if this was at a Halda, it would go on for a lot longer. But they're doing a recording, right, in a studio or wherever it is that they recorded this. I don't know where they recorded it. But there's no pressure in the song, and I think that's cool. I think it's cool to put pressure when you're singing, like pressure the chorus, pressure the Halda, and you're like, yeah, vambora, vam 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 vam, ooh la la eat, right? And you're like, yeah, let's go. But it's nice to also like, hey, let's just go. But the chorus has to be there too to support that, and the chorus can't fall off. Like the chorus here, like it doesn't fade away, it just gets stronger. And I think that is something that as teachers we need to continuously encourage the students, and the other teachers that might be at a Halda, like, hey, the chorus needs to build, the chorus needs to be on point. They are an active part of this Halda, and I think that's really important.
Eu sou mongoleiro, eu sou da Bahia, eu sou de Angola, eu sou mongoleiro, eu sou mongoleiro, Angola, eu sou Angola,
All right. Okay. So let's get into some songs that got real popular from Mestre Ananias. We only have a few more for the album. So this one here, Nego Nago, right? Nego Nago quando morre, Nego Nago quando morre, vai na tumba de Banguê. Parentes vão dizendo, urubu tem que comer. Aqui babá, canjere, Nego Nago, tem catinga de sarengue. Man, the song was cool on here, and then when on the Ananias album, it like blew up like crazy in the capoeira world. It became like an anthem for Ananias, Praça da República, and then the whole world for us. And it started off as like sort of like a track hidden in the back, um, and wasn't crazy popular in the world of capoeira for a while until it kind of was given this new life. And it's a super cryptic song. This was one of my first introductions to like trying to break down one of Mestre Ananias' song. Like, what is he singing? What is this about? So, Nego Nago Quando Morre. So, Nago were one of the tribes of African slaves that were brought to Brazil. So, Nego, the black Nago, when they die, Quando Morre, vai na tumba de Bangue. They go into the tomb of Bangue. So, Bangue, sort of an African word. Um, it sort of like like a sugar cane, um, like tomb of the sugarcane husk. Uh, it's translated a few different things, but it's sort of like a cheap person's tomb is one way that I found uh, that it's sort of described. And you can interpret this slightly different. If you Google Bangwe and you look, there's a lot of different translations. That's how a lot of this stuff was. So you can kind of piece it together, but more or less like, so when the black person dies, the black Nago person dies, they're buried in this in a cheap tomb, basically from straw from the sugarcane plantation. That's one interpretation. I'm going to kind of roll with it just for right now, just for the ease of the stream. Os parentes vão dizendo, the parents are going to be saying, Urubu tem que comer, and the vulture has to eat, like referring like the vulture might eat like the people that just died in this cheap tomb. Aqui baba kanjere. Here's the baba. Like baba would be like the the like the leader, okay, and the spiritual gathering, the kanjere. Um, Nego nago tekachinga de sarenge. The black nago has the stink of a skunk. So the sarenge is a type of skunk, but they have the stink of a skunk. So it's saying that these black people have the stink of a skunk. And very briefly, I saw some people get like a little upset in sort of recent time, like, oh, you're saying like black people smell like skunk. Like, hold up. You have to think about context of what, and I think anyone that like actually like thinks about it a little bit longer, like understands like you're singing about a time and a place, right? About a setting. And you're singing the sad thing about these people, and you're not attacking these people. You know, you're not going around saying that like black people from tribal African black people all smell like skunks. Not at all, right? You're talking about like during slave times, you're painting a picture, and yeah, I'm sure the slaves smelled really badly, and it's you're not putting them down. You're like talking about like the hard times of this and what they suffered and what they went through and kind of like these conditions. But it took me a while to find a lot of these terms when I first heard this album. This album was like way before Chat GPT, way before a lot of things were online, even though some things were online. So the information wasn't really easy. And then trying to figure out the context of these things, I just had like literal translations of the words. And yeah, so when you sing this song and you hear it sung on the Ananias live album, it has like a really high energy. And, you know, you got to kind of, this is where it's really important to understand the context of the song, because you can sing it with a high energy. And man, if you haven't seen it already, there's a ton of videos with people at the Praça singing the song they sing. Um, you know, it's just really popular. Uh, and it has really good energy. It's awesome. It's an awesome song. It's amazing. I love to sing it. It's one of my favorites. Uh, but it really brings us back and grounds us to the history of capoeira and what birthed this art, you know. And then it has that signature Ananias like double chorus, like Tenka chinga de sarenge, Aki baba, akanjere, nego nago, Tenka chinga de sarenge, and then you sing it again, nego nago, right? Raki baba, akanjere, nego nago, Tenka chinga de sarenge, and it goes like that, right? Um, So, yeah, really, really cool song. I highly recommend listening to it on this album and then directly listening to the track on the Kazananias album. It's the third track, I believe. And then it goes right into their song, the Chiririka. Um, and I think we left off. I had skipped ahead on the last stream and skipped ahead and talked about this song, the Chiririka song. Toma moleque trompa, trompa pra derrubar. Tiririca, faca de ponta, capoeira vai te pegar. Sinhazinha do tabuleiro, teu bume, companheiro. Abre a roda, minha gente, que batuque diferente. So, really good to listen to this song as well on both albums and compare and contrast. Really. Vamos para derrubar, Tiririca, faca de ponta, capoeira vou te pegar. Minha do tabuleiro, eu derrubou meu companheiro. Abre a roda, minha gente, e eu bato pé diferente. Let's go back a little bit here. So I'm going to go back to what I talked about last stream, the drums in Mesechita. And you can hear Mesechita drums, and then it goes into more into the next track. We'll so the drums. Vamos para derrubar, Tiririca, faca de ponta, capoeira vou te pegar. Minha do tabuleiro, eu derrubou meu companheiro. Abre a roda, minha gente. And then he did the dun, 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 right there in the pause, right before he goes into the call for the chorus. And I think that's so cool. It's like Mesechita knows the song, knows Mestre Ananias, and pulls in. So let's listen to that again. So cool. Right. And so Chidika, we talk about last stream. It's actually like a style of rough samba in Sao Paulo, and Mestre Ananias was all in with these people talking about this, and really, really cool. And there are very, very few people that know that this song actually comes out of samba. Yeah, so let's go. We only have 2 more songs. So then we'll go to Adeus Corina. And this is another one that I first heard Mestre Accordion. And I hadn't heard it any other way. And you can hear some really cool stuff on this one. I'm just going to play it. Adeus, Corina Dandan. It's Mesechita. Bateria. Yeah. Yeah. Adeus, Corina Dandan. Yeah, dun, 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 dun. Adeus, Corina Dandan. So just cool, like you hear like just that flavor of Mestre Ananias, nothing crazy, but just like him yelling and bateria, like these cool things that just kind of stay in your brain. Then the last track, the Dona Maria do Camboatá, or last couple of songs, and then Dona Maria que vem aí and Quebra la Mi como Gi. So it's the last track, 13, but it's 3 songs.
Maria do Camboatá, Pedana, Pedana, Monta Botá. Dona Maria do Camboatá, Camboatá do Camboatá. Dona Maria do Camboatá. Oh, Pedana, Pedana.
Here's some guys going high at the end.
Dona Maria do Camboatá. Pedana, Pedana, Monta Botá. Dona Maria do Camboatá. Pedana, Pedana, Monta Botá.
I don't know who's doing that in there. That male going high at the end of Camboatá. I don't know who's doing it. It sounds really cool, but you don't hear it that in any of the other parts of the album, at least that I could hear. But pretty interesting. Just more like nuance, and just having fun, varying. Not much else here as far as like stuff to talk about that I found. Dona Maria que vem aí. It's more like that vibe, It's just like just some extra corridos, I think, at the end of the Dona Maria que vem aí. Just more of that like flattening of the chorus. Dona Maria que vem aí. Dona Maria que vem aí. Dona Maria que vem aí. Coco Pipoca, que é do Brasil. Coconut popcorn that's from Brazil. And it's just kind of like, Dona Maria, what are you selling there? And then the last one, Quebra la Mi como Gi. This one gets asked, a lot of people ask, like, Quebra la Mi como Gi. And you can find answers online for this pretty easily now. But if you don't know, it's like, break the corn like me. And it's like this long progression of like words changing over time and introduction, but that's the short of it. And now it's a really popular song. Quebra la Mi como Gi maca. You can hear it a lot of different ways. What's really interesting here is the queba, and this kind of continuous shortening of words, and throughout the titles of the songs on this, queba is quebra, queba la mi, quebra, queba, queba la mi como Gi. The way it actually titled it, the way that he says it, just completely takes out the R. Queba la mi como Gi. And that's just such like a Brazilian thing, such like a Black history, such a capoeira thing. And I think it's really cool that the last track on this album is this song. And he's barely even pronouncing the first part of quebra. Is that Bali como Gi? Bali como Gi. He's almost like in a trance at this point. And then I'm gonna, if you can, crank up the volume and put on earphones. The very end, and there's just some cool words at the end of the album. Para matar o diablo. To kill the devil, right? And chega gente. And then people applaud, and that's it. Like we killed the devil with that one. It's he knew it was like a great recording and so picky with everybody. But the album was awesome and he knew it was awesome. And yeah, we killed the devil with that one. That's so cool. Para matar o diabo. I love that. I'm gonna use that phrase more. And then people clapping. That's it. That's the album. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys enjoyed the breakdown. The couple people we had today. The last stream, a bunch of people watched it after. So hoping a bunch of people will watch this after the live. And if you do, you're watching it sometime later in the future, send me a message if you have questions, if you just want to talk about it, if you want to geek out on it. Yeah, Careta, glad you loved it, man. Send me some messages tomorrow. We'll talk more about it. And that's it. Thank you, Katarina Mola. Thank you guys. You guys are awesome. And let me know, Careta already sent me an idea for next album. Let me know if you guys have other ideas. I definitely want to do this again. I don't know if I'll stream. I don't know if I'll podcast. But it's fun either way. So thank you guys, and see you at the next one. Bye.